It's right side up, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, roll call, please.
Guzowski?
Here?
Clark? Fredericks?
Here.
Height? Lindman?
Here?
Nedra?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Gorn?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
So I'll move to excuse Tom Heidi, let us know he's going to be out of town. Support from the other one. Okay,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, need to approve the agenda. Looks good to me unless anybody has anything to add to it.
None here.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by, motion by Nedros, second by Snyder.
I got stuff to do.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries.
I'll approve the minutes of March 28th.
Yeah, March meeting minutes look fine, okay. Motion by Nedros, second by Snyder.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Public hearing, we have none. Correspondence, we have.
Wait a minute. Do we? Public hearing.
Nope, no public hearing.
No public hearing.
Okay, I just didn't recognize you.
This is Shayna. You've not met Shayna?
No.
I came here for one meeting so far. It
Yep.
was when we had our applicant for, I forget what intersection that is,
Commerce.
but our.
Back in March.
Commerce and Decker.
Where was I?
So are you the new Sally eventually? Is that the
No,
plan?
I'm not, I can't replace Sally, no, I am learning from Sally though, and I'm helping, do some stuff.
Okay. Not that Sally could ever be replaced.
Right.
Oh, true.
Okay, call to the public. We have no public. Okay, so that gets us to new business. New business item A, potential mixed-use zoning district along South Commerce. And Sally provided some materials on that with summary and some recommendations. And the heart of the recommendation is we could choose to look at rezoning that to multiple, and if we were to do that, probably it would also do the medical office to the west of that, so both properties are zoned the same, which makes sense in case they ever wanted to do something as a combined property and to avoid spot zoning.
I know when we went through the master plan, we had some discussion on rezoning those properties, at least the one at Decker, South Commerce.
Well, there wasn't anything in the minutes, so
Mhm.
I believe you. If you
Yeah,
remember that.
I remember we had some discussion. But at that point, we didn't have the mixed use, I don't think, did we?
No, we were creating that.
Right,
at the
right,
time.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
But it makes sense to give a lot of different options to what could go in there, so it doesn't continue to be vacant. I mean, it's been vacant for years, and
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything, so when I don't know who the question's for, everything that could go in here, when you said use is permitted by right for mixed use, some of those are not, and I think you capture it at the end, but some of those are not low impact, like a bar would not be low impact. Is this list, how is this list created? And is it, for mixed use for the village, is this now the list?
This is the list from the village,
Okay.
and it was created because we were dealing with those 8 or 9 properties along South, or
Glengarry.
Glengarry,
Mhm.
and we had the Glengarry Inn.
Mhm.
Glengarry Inn's a bar.
Yep.
And so we had to include that in that list to make it conforming. So,
So if we, so putting a bar there is not special land use? So
Yes,
if,
it is.
So it is special land
yes,
use
it
at
would
the
be a
end?
special land use.
So we could,
So they'd have to come before us to get any bar approved in a mixed-use zone,
Yep,
or, yeah.
yes.
okay. So that's where.
I am wrong, hold on. So high-intensity commercial uses which are compatible, bars and cocktail lounges, you're right, they are permitted use, they're not a special.
Okay, so it's not special land
And
use.
we did that because we wanted
Because
to
of the
make the
Glen-
Glengarry
right.
Inn conforming, we
Mhm.
didn't want to make it a special land use. To kind of complicate our lives.
So.
So did that change the answer to my question?
I'm sorry, I was,
Do they have to come before us to have a bar in mixed use?
No.
any intensification of use would require them to come in with a site plan.
But that's just a site plan. There's,
Well, we'd have to
Not
approve
be a
it.
special land use.
we couldn't stop.
Right, right. if they met all the criteria, they met all the
Yeah.
zoning requirements, you would have to approve it.
There'd still be a public hearing on it too.
No, there wouldn't.
There wouldn't?
No, it would be in a public meeting,
Okay.
but there's no special public hearing where neighbors would be informed with a letter or
Oh.
anything like that.
Not even adult use? I thought adult use had some special,
Well, the one criteria is it cannot be within 1,000 feet of another high-intensity use. I don't think there is another high-intensity
No.
use within 1,000 feet of that property.
No. So it's easy. I think, Brian, you made the point. We want to do something so that it's not just vacant.
Mhm.
Or we want to, I guess, we want to attempt to do something. But if we rezone it, it's there forever. And in theory, there could be things that we don't want there that could pop up
On this list,
on this list.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then,
can we change that list?
well, I would hate to change the list because this list is really refined for the Glengarry corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what you could do is you could add mixed use 1 and mixed use 2.
Mhm.
And have a separate mixed use district with the different list of uses that you think are appropriate for that corner on
You
South
couldn't-
Commerce.
Could you do a mixed use with exceptions?
You know what, I think it'd be cleaner just to do a separate
Another
district.
mixed use, yeah.
So a low so the.
Low intensity
the-
mixed use or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and one of the questions I had, and for you that were there, I saw the medical marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that added to this on Glengarry? Was there,
Off,
there
it
rationale?
wasn't.
It wasn't
wa-
added.
It was office that we
Yeah,
had
that
that
was
for.
permitted in office, yeah.
So,
Oh, so medical marijuana is permitted in office?
But it's not a facility, it is
Yeah.
only a caregiver.
Yeah, but a caregiver is 72
72
plants,
plants, right.
which,
But it's not a dispensary, it's not a
Right.
grow.
I know.
You can't go there and just buy-
no, but it's, if you look at some of the ones that are using the full 72 plants, a plant can be, there's no definition of the size of a plant. And so we've got some in the township that are big, and there is, they're not great as neighbors. You know, there's odors,
Mm-hmm.
there's, even if you have, and I don't know if we have like scrubbers for so forth, but,
That won't come into play though, George, because the village has opted out.
No, the village has opted out of facilities.
yeah.
Okay,
You
okay.
cannot opt out of the medical marijuana.
Okay.
You must
state
allow
law.
it somewhere.
But it says medical marijuana caregiver facilities, provided the facilities have a current license issued with the village under chapter 1284. So they would have to be currently licensed somewhere else in the village.
Currently
not
licensed,
currently,
could
they just have to get a
They have
license.
to get a license.
And we have to give them one.
Yeah.
They have a
They
current
meet all
license,
the
okay.
requirements.
But that's a caregiver is not,
That- Well, in that building.
they have to have patients. And patients don't sign up with caregivers anymore because they can drive down to Luma and down to,
Okay.
Walled Lake.
yeah, and buy it. And if you sign up for a caregiver and they don't have any, you're SOL.
So you don't get either or? You can't just automatically?
I think you can go down to the,
Okay.
but
Anyway, I didn't want to make a
It
big
just-
deal
I-
out of it.
I
It was
just-
just interesting that it was,
I-
it was there.
That whole, creating that ordinance was quite involved. The village attorney was very involved in that. And we took a long time trying to figure out where,
There was only 2 spots,
There's only 2 spots, right.
that being one of them, and the other one was over off of Benstein in that little strip mall.
Little strip mall.
That was the only 2 places in the village that would, because,
Qualify.
that would qualify because of the current zoning and distances to,
High intensity uses.
yep.
And if we didn't do that, then we had to do the opt-out whole thing, which was even a bigger pain, and none of us thought it was worth it.
We've already done.
We did the,
opt-out.
we opted out,
We did the
yeah.
opt-out,
But that's for
it's
retail.
No,
yeah, that was-
Right.
No, I meant like what Livonia did, where they won't let anything happen
That was
anywhere.
not legal.
Oh, really?
No, I don't believe, you
Oh.
cannot, I don't think a municipality.
So we kind of had to do it,
Yes.
right?
I don't believe a municipality has the authority to prohibit medical marijuana in a caregiver do have the ability to opt out of the dispensaries,
Mhm.
grow facilities, processing, transportation, and production.
Well, earlier this year, we had an attorney come before council. I think he came before planning too, didn't he?
No,
No.
just, it was the
Just be
council.
council, this council, to try to get us to drop the opt-out for dispensaries,
Where do they want to build one?
anywhere they could.
They're looking, there's a fair amount of lawsuits throughout the
Mhm.
state where they are trying to force somebody who opted out to have a dispensary, even
Mhm.
if, and I think it was Mike McNutt said it, the guy, I watched the article where the
Yeah.
guy says, it's a convenience, there's a need for it here, and
Yeah.
people don't want to drive to Walled Lake, and Mike.
Mike goes in,
comment
he
was,
said.
From
they-
Wolverine Lake?
They deliver.
They can deliver,
Yeah, there's no convenience issue.
Uber in,
Yeah.
yeah.
But,
They got Uber
so do we look
medical
at
marijuana now.
Brandon's idea of having a kind of a mixed use 1, mixed use 2, or mixed use and mixed use low intensity?
I really like the idea, but wasn't the whole point that to have that happen, we had to go back and do our master plan again?
Well, no, we just have to update our planning, our zoning map that's part of the master plan. Because right now, if we were to change it, it wouldn't comply with our zoning map.
Okay.
It's called a future land use.
Future land use map,
in your-
that's it.
In your master plan. And,
But
yeah,
you don't have to go through with approving the whole master plan.
You do have to go through a process. So to
Mhm.
update your future land use map, you have to make a recommendation to village council. Village council has to approve the distribution. Then you have to distribute it to the neighboring communities for 42 days, because it's an update, not a full rewrite. They have to comment, then it comes back to you guys. You have to say, decide whether or not you address the comments. And then,
Public hearing.
you make a recommendation to council to approve it, and you approve it.
And once that's done, then we can make something a mixed land use 1 or 2 or whatever we're
And
talking about.
I do advocate for modifying your master plan first and then making that zoning change. That really, your zoning should be based on your master plan. So, I don't think making that modification, I think what we want to do then too is we want to add also a paragraph describing the intent of this new mixed-use district, low intensity or whatever you want to call it. And so it would really be a paragraph change and then modifying your future land use map.
So it's not gonna cost a gazillion dollars.
A half a gazillion.
It's a lot of work for one property.
Yeah, that's.
It is. And it seems to me that what we're doing is we're turning ourselves into a pretzel to try to help somebody who made a bad land purchase. I mean, I don't know that they've aggressively marketed to the areas that are currently applicable under the current guidelines. I mean.
Well, I
it'd be
agree
nice
with
if
what
we
you're
had a
saying,
piece
but
of
I also
property
agree
that's-
that that thing has been sitting there vacant for way too long. We
Well, how long have
need
these
to,
guys owned it? Do we know?
it doesn't matter how long they owned it, because it's been vacant since like 25 years, I think.
Well, it's never been,
Probably
it's
10
never
years.
really been vibrant.
No, it's gotta
right?
be. Who was in there 10 years ago?
There was
No,
a
dental
frame shop,
supply.
there was a frame shop in there.
Then there's a dental supply. thing
Oh, the
for a
dental
while.
supply
Dental
place.
supply.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a photographer too?
photographer,
There was.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember any of that.
Yeah.
But none of them were, the dental supply was probably there the longest.
Right.
I'm gonna guess, and that was, you think, 5 years?
It's a funky site, it's small, it's got a little dinky building
Yeah.
on it. There's not very much space for parking. The site distance on that road is
It's a corner, yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
So, it's not, it will not be an easy property.
Well-
What's the downside, other than, I mean, I'm sure they'd make us buy it, but what's the downside of the village taking the property and
Price.
turning it into a green space? That's,
The price, I'm sure.
I would love to
Always
see
an
it just
option.
like a big welcome.
No,
like,
with-
to
with
Wolverine Lake
something
Area
like
Park
that.
Type
yeah,
thing,
a little
but
park.
I think the
picnic
price he's
area.
asking for it is,
Well, he's got it
Well,
listed at 600,000. We're not
Yeah,
gonna buy it for that, but
He's only losing, what?
So what I could find was he paid 3,
yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's trying to sell it 6, and that's 25% lower.
that's a haircut.
Yeah, now, I think we have to be, so we're saying we're not gonna do all this, and then we come in and wanna buy it. I think we need to
Yeah.
really make sure we're
I don't know what,
buttoned up.
I kind of like the idea, what we had before was, if it would feed into one of the other businesses there. Whether it's the apartments or medical office, but they're not going to want to spend that kind of money either probably for it.
Right.
so.
Well, it's, no matter what we do, it's gonna be a tight place to get into. There's not an easy way to.
Yeah,
But if
there's
we
certain
wanted to
properties- there's certain
rezone it-
properties that aren't moving. I mean, look at the old,
Look at Patty's. It's
the
been
Moose Jaw down there,
for-
the old Moose Jaw Grill, I
Yeah.
mean, or church or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I have a
still, it's been
question.
for sale for a long time.
If we wanted
Yeah.
to rezone that to a zoning that we already have, like park, you said or
Mm-hmm.
something,
Yeah.
is that the same process? Do we have to go through a
Yeah.
loan?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no difference
Right.
that we already have that park as a zoning type.
Right.
But it's kind of, we're kind of between where Paul's comments are. It's zoned office, office works, office is low intensity, but nothing's happened with the property for a long time. And if we make it a low-intensity mixed use, does that afford something happening there, rather than it just being kind of an eyesore,
Yeah.
and kind of a
We don't need
gateway to the village?
Yeah, we
that's
don't
just
need a
this-
derelict structure.
Yeah, where the windows are
Coming
getting,
down.
if somebody's busting more of the windows out.
Yeah.
I saw some of the glass block
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a, I don't, you'd have to, I mean, somebody's gonna have to probably bulldoze that building. It's just, it's not that big. I don't know how many square feet it is, but it's small.
It's,
And I don't know what you could do there other than, a consignment store, a resale store, something.
Well, one of the reasons we talked about mixed use was because one side of it, there's an office, and on the other, kind of around the corner, is multi-family,
Residential.
and maybe that would be something that they would want to use, but
And behind it's single-family residential, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's an idea. I've not heard from the applicant, I've not heard from the administrator that the applicant's been calling and asking what's going on. So if you are reticent to kind of, start this path and spend this money, maybe I could talk to the village administrator and see if he could contact the property owner and find out, do you still want the, village to look into making a change here, or
Well,
have you found a tenant? Maybe you found a tenant.
He said that he was trying to market it for 25% less than he purchased it. So that was comments he made. And maybe Dave says, maybe, is there interest at the village buying it? If in fact, as he said, he was marketing it at 25% less than he purchased it. So 25% off of 300 is, what?
Two and a quarter.
but what would we do with the office space?
Well, we could turn it into green space.
But if we-
Either turn it into green space, or you can convert the what if you, I haven't seen the inside of the structure. But we're trying to create a pathway down South Commerce anyway, right? A walkway, bicycle,
A green space is fine for office zoning?
maybe not a green space, turn it
Yes.
into a
Yes,
rest
okay,
stop,
that's-
recreational.
Right.
You stop in there and you can get a drink of water, use the restroom, whatever, on your bicycle, or,
Don't quote me, but I do think parks are permitted uses in the office district.
Let's see, it does.
Can even be an electric car charging station.
yeah.
All right.
Or
That was
electric
his
bike-
idea, I'm not trying to
electric
steal, I
bike
just
charging.
spoke louder.
Phone charging?
Phone charging, I charge.
We've looked
I
into,
mean,
we've looked into the,
Public service building of some sort.
Something that the community could
Yeah.
get a benefit out of.
You know?
we've looked into the Commerce pathway down there, and that's gonna be a long haul to get it,
Oh.
ever get it done.
Yeah, behind the guardrail there where it drops off. into
Well,
a
it's either gonna have
swamp.
to go maybe on the Walled Lake side.
So there is
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
there is some energy behind a pathway from Glengarry and South Commerce east.
Right, yep,
Towards Welsh Road.
right.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then maybe, this could be
tied into
It's
that.
not that far away from
Yeah,
it, I guess
yeah.
is what I'm saying. But then at least there's an opportunity that the village could do something that the community could get a benefit out of.
Right.
For not, you know, again, if he is selling it for, as he quoted, 25% less than he purchased it for, then
At least just clean it up.
there could be value.
Yeah.
Make it look nice. You know, like,
Create a
like,
501c3 to
yeah, exactly,
oversee the site.
right?
Put a
Keep it nice.
pickleball court there. That'd be high intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it?
Oh, yeah, you've been up to
Walking
Richardson?
only though.
Really,
You
put
drive
2 or
there.
3 there.
Well, I tell you where my mind is going right now is that I don't see why we should go through this whole big rigmarole of trying to get a new mixed use or something out of that, when we don't even have a clue of what somebody might try to even use that for. It might be just the same. They might not be able to sell it just because of the spot.
Yep.
And if there's uses that can be thought of within the current zoning, then let's not go through the whole master plan thing.
Well, the current zoning, the only
Of
two I would
office.
recommend is office or multifamily residential, because we don't want to spot zone this thing.
I was saying leave it.
Yeah, so either leave it office, you can change it to multifamily residential, which will change, which will require the same procedure. You could do this low-intensity mixed-use idea, and I don't think it would be a real heavy lift to revise this list to less intense uses for that particular, actually those two buildings together.
But it's 6 months worth of work.
But it will take, it'll take time.
And then we don't know that that will sell the property or get it used anyway.
Well, that's not your problem. Your
Well,
problem-
but it's the same as it is now, is what I'm saying. I don't know that, I mean, we can go through 6 months, yeah, it's not a big deal for us to do, but then it doesn't fix it.
But it could afford
Could,
opportunity.
yeah, that's right.
You know.
You don't
potentially.
know, and what your role is to make sure that the zoning allows for a reasonable use of the land. You're not obligated to find the highest and most return for the applicant. All you do, your role is to, what's appropriate in the community, what is the surrounding land uses, what are those telling you that it should be, this zoning, and that it's a reasonable use of the land. Those are kind of your parameters. So don't worry about somebody making a profit or, you know, that kind of thing. That's not what you should be concerned
No,
with.
and I don't think we are. I think though we want to see, we don't want it to be an eyesore.
Right.
No
And we
question.
want it
Yeah.
to, and if there is a way that the community could get a benefit, I think the first step would be to have Dave reach out and say,
Are you interested?
you said you were trying to market it for 25% less than, and, you know, I don't know if, Brian, I don't know if the village is interested in spending the money for something.
Probably not 2 and a quarter
Yeah, I was about to say, I
for a
don't-
little park right there. I don't
I
think
don't see
would-
that.
I mean, we'd have to put a lot of infrastructure to even be able to get to it right now.
And to make,
And I don't
and
think
to do
that's,
something.
yeah, it's not gonna happen, I don't
Okay.
believe. I mean,
So one of our options is do nothing.
True.
Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
that is true.
Right now, yeah.
I think we wait to see what this owner wants to do in the next 6 months. Maybe he found somebody.
So,
So keep it office.
maybe we'll just wait for them to come back.
Yeah. I think we leave the ball in his court, and who knows, maybe he wants to put a caregiver
I
facility
mean,
in
he
there.
wouldn't have to necessarily even come back to planning, he could actually just write a letter.
He did talk about like a vape shop or a smoke shop. Unfortunately, I wouldn't want to see that there, but
Well, he
it is.
can't do that.
Yeah, can't do that in
Oh,
office.
It's not
that's
commercial,
office,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's only office, the only thing.
But he could come back and
marijuana-wise,
say-
He could do a caregiver
Right.
facility.
He couldn't do any sales. I mean, we were talking about if he wanted to put in like even I think it was like a little party store or something, and we said, no, you can't do that without rezoning.
Yeah.
So
And that's what, so,
It's interesting, though, that he hasn't, you know, credit unions are like knocking on, you know, there's been 2 recently built in the township, and there's a 3rd one that's coming in, that's building from the ground up. That just seems, if there's that much demand for credit unions.
Well, it used to be a bank.
It was a bank way back
It was a
in the day.
bank
It
one
was?
time, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was a gas station, I believe, a long time ago.
I mean,
do any of
That's
those
what I've heard.
have like just drive-through sites, just for ATM, like just an ATM site, it doesn't necessarily need to be a whole bank.
I think, well, and it's interesting, credit unions are allowed, but banks
Yeah,
aren't.
I saw that
Why-
distinction.
Why is that? What is?
Well, that is from the original zoning ordinance, so I have no idea.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, in office, a
but
credit union's
credit-
allowed, but a bank's
A
not.
bank
Yes.
or a savings and loan is not allowed.
Maybe a bank is considered
High
a
intensity.
commercial
Commercial business.
business, while a credit union is more of an office, maybe somewhere
Well,
in the
the law has
definition.
changed on what a credit union
Yeah.
can do and what they
Sure.
probably.
Yeah. I think that's probably what's happening.
But the
Well, if you
applicant,
find a bank, then we'll change it.
I
We'll
say
go
we
through that whole
wait and See what he
process.
says. If he comes back, maybe he looks at something and he proposes, and he says, hey, guys,
Well, you've
I
got
don't-
his proposal.
well, I know, but maybe he changes his mind and he says, look, what if I do a vape shoppers, but can we then do the special use or rezone it? Wait for him. Otherwise, it's, why go, like you said, why go through all this? He might not do anything with it anyway.
right, well, and the applicant did say he had one potential buyer, they wanted to put a pizza shop in there, but with the office zoning,
He couldn't.
He couldn't,
Well,
so he
let
walked
them
away
come
from
to
it.
us and try to do the rezoning like he
Right.
did. And if it comes up with a better idea, maybe we're more apt to go down this 6 month.
To do a conditional rezoning.
All I kept
not
hearing
get
was
into
gas
spot
station.
zoning.
Yeah. you want
Yeah.
that
Well, that's all
gas
he's
station.
interested in doing.
I
Gas station
understand
with
that.
Convenience store, yeah.
And it's been years, and we've already told him, no gas station
Well,
there.
he made a poor decision by buying it, thinking he could get
Turn it
rezoned,
into a gas station.
like he's done in Warren and wherever else he did it, and unfortunately, it's not gonna work like that here. And
Especially, at least not there.
Not there.
In all-
I mean, when you're living right within 300 yards of 6 houses or something, it's like, no.
Too bad Taco Bell didn't put it there instead of David Amy's.
That's happening, right?
That is.
Yeah.
They're moving fast.
Yeah, they're moving real quick.
You could donate the property, we'll name the park after.
Yeah, there's a tax write-off for him, how about that? He's a business owner. That might actually be a bad idea.
I know,
Donate it
right?
for the $600,000 that he's selling it for, that he valued it at?
Hey,
Only if he needs a $600,000 deduction.
Oh, I'm sure if he owns that many gas stations, he can find a use for it.
I'm thinking. Just a thought.
Not a bad idea. All right. So,
Do we need to make a,
motion on this, or we just,
No.
no?
Tabitha has taken good notes, I'm sure. That'll be in the minutes.
Poor Tabitha.
I was supposed to take notes.
And do we have a recording?
It's on TV.
Yep, it's on, we're recorded.
Well, good. So,
So move on to the next item.
Yeah, we'll just leave that
what
as is.
I'll do is I'll just let Dave know that this is your conversation and that if he wants to reach out to the applicant to see if, they're still interested in you doing something here.
I'd say at this point, it'd probably be prudent just to table it.
Yeah,
Just,
let the client reach out.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I'll let Dave know that
I mean-
we'll just wait for the applicant to.
Table it until further.
Especially
Yeah.
if you don't think the village is willing to buy it, like, what's the point of reaching out
So
to them?
I can't say, I mean, I wouldn't think so.
what we don't want, we've looked at the mixed use, and we have concerns with mixed use. We don't think everything that's available within mixed use would work there, and so we don't want to go that route. And so the only other thing is to think about a different zoning, and at this point, we're not comfortable with that, and we think status quo is still appropriate.
It's almost not that we're not comfortable with it, it's just, we'd rather have an applicant come in with an idea, rather than us just
Well,
throw out our,
Let me tell you this, something though. You guys absolutely have to you have to give developers direction. You cannot expect them to come in and read your mind and know exactly what you want. They're gonna have their ideas about what they think works there, but it has to work within your parameters, your master plan. So it is absolutely up to you to tell these people what you want
Well,
and what you don't want there.
isn't that what we've done by zoning it office?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you've done by zoning an office, that's what you've done by showing it in the master plan as you have.
Yeah.
Now, this person has a different perspective, and he wanted to share that perspective with you, which I think you should consider. And you've done that, and you're saying that you're satisfied with what you have, and you're don't think there's a compelling reason for you to do anything with it yet.
And I would note that the office is in that, within hundreds of feet of that, on the other side of the street, as well as to the west of it, so to the west and to the south, and actually to the east. Becca, the dentist that's there, have been, all of those have been there for years.
Yep, and have been viable.
thrived.
Yep.
There's a chiropractor.
There was a bug on my hand, so I went like this.
There's a chiropractor across the street, and they do massages too, you know, and stuff like that. And I mean, so, if you find a chiropractor that needs a spot, or a massage therapist that needs a spot. I mean, I think there's lots of ways that could be used. It's just
I think the
hasn't
building-
been marketed right, probably.
Yeah, and the building looks a little rough, so if you had somebody come in and had a great idea, I think it could work. You gotta
Yeah.
find the right person at the right time, and unfortunately. And if he's marketing it at 600,000, a massage therapist that might be looking for their own space is not gonna be able to fork up $600,000 for a building that they're
Yeah.
gonna have to remodel.
And he can lease it.
He could.
Right.
Whether or not he's got it advertised for lease is up to him, right? So, I'd say we leave it as is and
At least for now.
keep it quiet until he says something.
So then, do we table it then? Is that the,
Or
You
just,
don't need to table,
No?
it. You
Or
don't
just
need to do anything.
move on.
Can I ask one more
Item that
question?
You were discussing.
I noticed in the minutes that the question was asked, and it looked as though there was some price comparisons where he's saying he's losing money at the sale when he bought it in the 300,000 air range, and he wants to sell it to 600,000. Is there any, I mean, is there any feet to the fire on making sure that we're getting an honest effort one way or another, or doesn't it matter?
It's
Doesn't
real estate,
matter
doesn't
from our
matter.
standpoint.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's part of what influenced my thoughts as far as how far out of the way I think we ought to be going for somebody that, was gonna try and get us to change the rules after they bought the thing. It's like, no. Appreciate the thought, you should have checked first, I suppose.
That was-
Okay, that's all I had.
right, and the
Sorry.
sales price when he bought it is public record.
Yeah,
That's fact.
yeah, so, okay. It's not really taking much of a haircut, 600 grand. All right, I'll shut up.
There's a lot of properties in the village you could buy for 600 grand.
Okay, well, if that's all the discussion on that agenda item, I guess we'll move on to new business. Item B, proposed zoning ordinance amendment setback language. And we had some very minor changes to the language to clarify things a little bit.
Where did that come from?
Sally.
The building department.
Came directly from Sally?
Just to just basically to clarify so that they have an easier time trying to deal
Oh, the
with things.
building department.
Yeah,
Building department.
and, yeah, I think the language changes,
Makes sense.
they're minor, but they seem to clarify things. and-
I didn't read that. What was the problem?
Just clarifies it a little
It's just-
easier.
There was some
Measure
confusion on the
setback.
setbacks, and they were having a hard time
Lakeside.
determining whether people were conforming or not to the setbacks. And
Just the way
so they
the
just cleaned up
terminology
verbiage a
was.
little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep saying that, and I don't understand what, I mean, to me, setbacks are a number. So what terminology
It's the way
could be
it's
confusing
explained,
them?
Yeah.
That's why I'm just asking. I'm
Sure,
not
we can read it.
disagreeing, I just don't understand.
The way the language is written.
For the note.
Is that the front setback isn't a number, or it's the average of either the two houses, one on each side, and that's where it got confusing, because the language said, equals the
Structures.
average setback of other structures on either side of said building.
Mhm.
Now the language says, equal to the average setback of the two adjacent lots, one on either side of the subject site.
It defines it.
It
Yeah.
defines
Yeah.
it specifically.
Now I understand,
Yeah,
because that first, yeah, it
yeah,
didn't.
that's the
So,
only change.
so let me ask that when you just, I thought it was simple and clear to me until you read it.
Uh-oh.
The equal to the average setback of the two adjacent lots. So it's really the setback of the homes on the lots.
It is. yeah.
And that's what that's saying. So when it says the setback of the lots, it is the setback of the homes on the lot.
Or the setbacks that are applicable to those lots.
Should we say structure on those adjacent lots?
Well, but
I
a
think
structure
that's what
could be,
needs to
is that a
be
shed?
there.
I don't want to reference
That's-
the building.
Okay.
Okay.
Because there could be all kinds of weird buildings and
Right, like you
structures
said,
and that kind of thing.
sheds and,
So I do think setbacks are applied to lots based on their zoning district.
And it's just not necessarily front yard. It's side yard, rear yard. So you have,
No, what
So
this
why
is-
do we have the language
Is it
for
front yard?
average
The
at
wording
all?
is just for the front yard.
Oh,
and the
okay,
lakefront.
It's only for the front.
Or the lakes.
or the lakeside.
Lakefront.
Sally,
Yep.
Yeah,
why is there language for average at all?
because you don't, if a lot of older communities that have been developed for a long time, sometimes the houses are like right at the street edge, because that's the way they used to do it. And then the zoning code changed, and new houses are 25 feet back from the street edge, so you get this kind of crazy.
It can impact the view.
And
you
it
know.
can
Yeah, on the
impact-
lakeside.
Especially on the lakeside.
Right.
But that's a
So
structure
it's
again.
better
You
to
said,
have, it's better to have an average. So for new buildings, if there's one close and one far, the guy in the middle, the new guy in the middle is gonna be average. He's not gonna be up close or far back.
but that's not the average of the zoning setback, that's the average of the structure setback.
Well, it says equal to the average setback of two adjacent lots, one on either side. So I think it's the average existing setback.
Was that just one on each side, or was it two on each side?
That's
Well,
what-
Well, the lake-
lakeside.
Lakeside.
One to each side.
Lakeside is two.
That's
it. That's what I was gonna say.
Lakes, yes.
Yep.
And that's the next section.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Okay.
So we could add the word existing, so equal to the average existing setback of two adjacent lots, one on either side. Would that be?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I like
so
that
playing
add.
devil's advocate here, I have this thing you described where there's one that has, 5-foot setback because it's way up by the road. And you have one that's 50-foot setback, but its setback is listed at, has to be at least 25. So are we talking about the average between these two buildings?
No.
Or the average of this one's where it is zoned at and this one where it's actually at? Because I understand why that's confusing, because now I don't get it.
They're
Well-
saying the average, if the average is more than 25 feet, you use the average.
Yeah, because
Because it says.
they'll
the
be increased,
setback-
yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, it shall be increased as necessary to equal the average. So, yeah, you start out at the 25 or the 35 on the lakefront, and then increased as necessary to meet the averages of the adjacent properties.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to know what it meant.
Yeah, it works out really nicely in built-out communities because it helps to kind of reduce the jagged,
Non-conformity
intensity
looking
difference.
and stuff,
And
yeah.
all we're really trying to do here is redefine it, help define it, because we're not changing the
You're not
intent.
changing, that's
No.
all.
The intent's always been here. So all we're doing is redefining the terminology.
Making it more understandable.
Making more understandable,
Okay.
yes.
Well, which I totally understand
Clarifying
now.
it.
Well, and if I may, I'm also maybe a little curious if it might it'd be helpful if we included a diagram or a map too. I know that might be additional work, but,
I think we've done that in
Oh,
other,
okay.
In our ordinance
Okay.
already.
Kind of an
that
example.
Yep.
Does show that, yes.
Okay,
It just didn't need clarification because it's diagrams, not wording.
gotcha. All right, perfect.
So if you are okay with this language, with the addition of the word existing, your next step would be to schedule a
Public hearing, yeah.
did we want to talk about what was it that you were saying, the sketches or? what?
No, those-
We've already got them.
We've already-
They confirmed
But
we do have them.
does it show like that,
It shows the
this
setback.
is where it's at, because it's an
It shows the
average?
setbacks, but it doesn't, I mean, all we're doing is defining the average, right?
Right.
yeah.
We're defining, clarifying the verbiage on how it's arrived at.
Well, as long as the building department's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Honestly, the building department really likes the way it's worded now. It's
I
going to
think-
make everything better.
Yeah.
without any changes
Okay.
as it exists, but you guys have to make that decision.
Wow.
So they don't want it changed?
Oh, yes,
Well,
we did.
yeah, they want to
Oh,
change.
they
those
want to
exactly
change
as we
to
have-
this.
To what the new-
You said the
new
way it
verbiage is.
existed.
The new-
That word,
the way-
there's that word
without
again.
any changes, but
So we have their
when they
support.
add or change, that's.
Okay.
So do we need to make a motion to schedule a public
Yes.
hearing?
All right. I move we schedule a public hearing for the next.
Next planning meeting?
Next, yeah.
A second.
Planning commission.
Is that enough time?
Gives us
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least a month.
Yeah. Sure.
So then are we going to leave the verbiage without adding the word existing, or?
No, I thought we were going to add the word existing, right?
That was my understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's add the word existing.
Can we read that then one more time? Let's see.
So, for footnote number 1, the new language will say, "The setback indicated is a minimum which shall be increased as necessary to equal the average existing setback of 2 adjacent lots, one on either side of the subject site." And then we do the same thing for footnote number 2 in the
Okay.
same spot.
Can we ask our building department official at this point? If inserting the word existing is gonna make any difference?
It exists, that's what they're gonna measure, so whether it says it or doesn't say it, it's still what's gonna happen, so it shouldn't make it any different.
That's kinda what I thought, just wanted to verify.
Okay, well, sounds like we'll
Sounds good.
go with the existing being added to it, and,
Yeah.
And that would be existing on the second one also?
right,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we move for a public hearing next month?
Or the next planning meeting?
Yeah.
Next-
planning
Did you move that?
I did.
I'll second.
Next planning meeting, yeah.
Brandon already did.
That's all right. It's not a
Oh,
competition.
okay, I don't care.
Okay, so we
Brian
had
would
motion by Frederick, second by Snyder.
Yeah, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion
Somebody.
carries. Now, at this point, we don't know whether there'll be a June meeting, but.
That's why I
guess
said
we
the next
scheduled it.
planning meeting.
But we have to
notice the
have
public hearing.
enough time for that to be announced.
You do, and it probably would be, have enough time to be announced for June, and we call it notice. But if you don't have any other, you know.
Yeah. We could move it?
Business, you can do it anytime in the future. It's kind of.
Mhm.
And not that anyone's going to show up for this hearing anyway, right?
Right.
I mean, realistically,
Okay.
nobody's going to.
I don't think it'd be a problem either way.
Okay, well, we'll leave it as the next
Next planning
planning
meeting,
meeting, yeah.
for some reason, if we don't have enough business, if we cancel June's meeting, then we
Punt it.
can fly in July or whatever.
So once we've noticed the public hearing, though, we're kind of obligated, I would think.
Once you notice it, yes, you would be obligated.
The notice won't go out until we have confirmation. of the
That we're
next
gonna have a meeting,
I
yeah.
believe, right?
And you need 2 weeks lead time to get it in the
notice it.
newspaper or wherever it gets posted now.
18 days or.
I knew they posted, no.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, it was a Spinal Column, now it's the,
Oakland Legal
oh.
News.
yep, thank you.
Planning is required to have 4 meetings a year, you've had 3. 4th meeting typically happens in the fall to do reappointments and things like that, businesses will have to be conducted. Sally, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the public hearing waits until that time, when you guys are conducting business all at once, I
Bingo,
believe that can happen.
yep.
That'd be efficient, yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so we should be set with that item. Pending business, I don't think we have any pending business. No older tabled business, so that brings us to liaison reports with council.
I guess probably our work session was more exciting last night than our other meetings, but, we presented the Citizen of the Year to Mr. Chenarian, who had the park, the little park-like area, that triangle down off of Lakeview and McCoy, yeah, thank you. And let's see what else. Moving forward with the playground, new playground equipment in the Claire Miller Park. we've got the equipment already, we purchased that, and we announced the bid for the contractor to install it, and it's gonna be probably coming in the next couple,
Equipment's here.
yeah, the equipment's here, but I mean, as far as construction goes, probably the next couple months. Yeah, so. Road paving project is moving forward for 24 and 25, so we're doing a lot of roads again this year. We're not gonna do anything on the south side of the, or anything around the lakeside until after the 4th, Tiki Night, or 3rd, so. But we will be starting roads prior to the 4th, off the lake. So, to the tune of about, between both years, about $1 million, almost just short of $1 million, somewhere thereabouts, so. Lots of money on roads. Wolverine Drive, Penny Lake ditch enclosure is proceeding slowly, but faster than the Benstein waterway, so. It should be done hopefully within a couple weeks.
They're saying.
Yeah, there's planning. And it's only been going on for what, maybe 5-6 weeks? It was probably a 2-3 week project, but still proceeding faster than Benstein, so. Parks and Rec's having a dog show this weekend. We approved the $300 for that. And then, as far as the budget work session last night, lots of stuff we're spending money on this year. Got a new chief, police, gonna be starting. So John Ellsworth is retiring.
Is that July?
It'll
end of
be,
July?
his official retirement date's August.
Okay.
August 1.
Wow.
Right? August 4 or 1, something like that. But, so,
Do we know who the new chief is?
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, our deputy chief, yeah.
Deputy chief's been on board
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Who is it?
Chris
Chris Solak.
Sovic. Yep.
By the time he takes the position, he will have been around for a year.
Yep. And he's doing a great job so far, so. And negotiations, and council passed, agreed to a new 3-year contract with the police and DPW, both. DPW just recently ratified, so that'll be signed shortly. So both those contracts are up for 3 years and moving forward. And aside from that, I don't think there's really anything else with it, Chad. Probably too much for tonight anyways.
So, Parks and Rec, yeah, we got our 5K events this Saturday. We've got a lot of signups already, so that's going to be a well-attended event as usual, and the kids' bubble run, so that's always a good time. Looks like the weather should be okay, hopefully. And other than that, we added a new event that Brian mentioned, the dog show, which will be on June 22nd. The email just went out on that, and it's been posted on Facebook, and we're starting to get some response on that. People are pretty excited, so we added that to the list, and we're gearing up for the fishing contest and the corn roast. So.
The dogs have to be well-behaved?
They have to be on a leash. That's about the only requirement.
No, they don't, but their masters do.
Well, there is a contest category, Good Boy, which is for, I guess, obedience types of things, and there's a cutest, and then there's, what else the other one was? And then the overall grand champion, and, yep, all the dogs that enter get a bandana for their $5 entry fee, and be serving snow cones and popcorn and things.
There you go.
To the dogs or to the?
There'll be doggy snow cones.
That's a great idea.
And then, I guess
Where's that at?
it's gonna be at Claire Miller.
Caramel.
In the pavilion there. And then we approved funding for our 8 cornhole sets. We'd used the ones from Kaya for the last Village Festival, Corn Roast Festival. Those aren't available this year, so in order to keep, and the cornhole tournament was very well received, so in order to keep that going, we're gonna buy our own and we'll have them on hand. We'll use them for Tuesdays in the park and other village events as you see fit.
Buying them or someone building them?
Somebody's building them.
That's what I remember hearing. You, right. I thought it was you. I just didn't want to.
That's fun.
So, yeah, I'm actually gonna start this weekend.
Nice.
So that's it on the Parks and Rec side. ZBA, is there?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass it off to you if you were there, because I didn't
Well,
make it.
yeah, we, I mean, did you mention last month about the Oak Island.
Yeah.
Okay, we covered that. And then last meeting was 2 days ago. It was for the property located at 1635 Schenken, and it involved a front yard lakefront setback request, essentially. However, the meeting was tabled because we didn't have a quorum. So unfortunately, we couldn't move forward with the meeting as a result. But we do look forward to having that on the agenda for next month.
Now, was that the vacant lot? They were looking for setback change to build? or-
No, it's not a vacant
Oh,
lot.
okay.
There's an existing house on there, and, they came before the board a couple months back, I guess, for a similar variance, and, it turned out that, I wasn't at that meeting, but what I heard is, they decided to change the design a little bit.
At the
as a re-
meeting?
Well, as a result of some input from the neighbors, which is awfully kind and, generous, I suppose, if you want to call it that. But, certainly kind and, so they did change the design, which resulted in the necessity to come back before the ZBA. And, again, we just unfortunately didn't have a quorum to move forward with that
So
hearing.
are they doing a remodel then? Is that their, if it's an existing home and
Tear
they're
down
going to
and
the
rebuild.
ZBA, oh, it's a tear down.
They're not a rebuild.
Gotcha.
And they're asking for a change in the setback?
It's,
Didn't we just talk about?
well, I was going to mention that earlier. I mean, we deal with that a lot at the ZBA, variances to the lakefront setback. And so we do see that often.
I thought they had to have a really good reason.
Sure.
And, just because they bought the property and want to change it isn't good enough reason. I mean, I remember that we talked about this way, way back about, remember the one guy wanted to build a deck in front of, and he would be too close to the water, and we just said, too bad. You can't. I mean, it wasn't like we weren't wanting to allow him to do that, but the rules of zoning would not allow us to make that kind of a change.
Well, there was a Oak Island, the house that they're about to
Yeah.
tear down. They applied for a couple setbacks from, just because of the way that the lot is shaped, right? Because it's kind of like a peninsula.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and
It had essentially had two front yard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
Two
a lot of properties like that in the village.
yeah, it's a
Right,
unique
actually.
village with unique.
Yeah.
So there is
lot lines.
a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a good reason.
Yeah.
Usually
Right.
hardship.
Just
Yeah.
thinking, you're just trying not to build something that's obstructing the neighbor's views.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, I mean, that's the most important thing.
Right.
Tell that to the pontoon next to me.
Pontoons, yeah.
His thing is way up, and I can't see the lake except in the winter, when he doesn't have it up.
All right, so is that it for
Yeah.
CBA?
Don't
Okay.
put that in the minutes.
Water management?
Okay, Progressive has been out a couple of times for treatment so far. I know everybody's probably noticed a little bit of algae
A little.
in the lake.
Just a wee bit.
Didn't they just treat that
Yeah,
yesterday?
yesterday.
Yes, they just treated that yesterday. And part of the reason the algae comes up is not only the warmer weather, but when we treated for the other invasives, the algae feed off the invasives. So
Right.
we get sort of the bigger blooms at that point in time. The interactive map online, we're still working with that. They can't figure out, I'm not sure this map will allow us to place, we wanted to put like where you can fish on the thing, so people know they can't fish off the bridge, but there are public access points we wanted to let them know about ahead of time. So we may just have a different map that shows that kind of thing, the kind of an overlay. We talked to a new fella by the name of Matthew Ramey, who wants to be part of the water board. He's got a BA in mechanical engineering, and he grew up on lakes in Pennsylvania. So there was a recommendation that will be going to the council to add in to the water management board. Goose egg collection, it resulted in 46 eggs this year, which is down from last year, but we got some of them.
There's a lot of goslings out there.
Oh,
I
my
was gonna say,
God.
I thought I noticed more
If you
this
want to
year
know, they're all
than
sitting on my
quite a while.
backyard.
I know. And if we could just get past this avian flu thing and be able to, I miss the duck roundups, but the heck. We confirmed, yeah, everybody, I think we already mentioned there's 335 walleye that went in last year.
8-inch or something like that.
Yeah,
You can tell when that happens because the seagulls
yeah.
are just all over the lake.
Yeah.
It was like within days after the restocking,
Yeah.
they were just, they know.
Yeah.
It was amazing,
Yeah.
just how many seagulls just flocked to the lake for
Yeah.
a week.
I
Hopefully
saw
they didn't
something
get it,
on
but,
on Facebook
Not the
where
walleye.
someone had posted in the village
One
thing
after
about,
wheels at the wall, chasing.
you know, do you have any suggestions about fishing? And the main one I saw was catch and release, and which was clarified in the top one that said, don't eat anything that you catch in this lake. And I don't know why that was, because I'm not a fisherman, but
There's no
problem.
It's a good fishing.
No, it is a good fishing lake.
Just
I've
people
never
talking.
heard of any kind of
Okay.
issue with.
I just wondered why somebody posted that.
Yeah, you get people that like to have opinions about things from time to time.
Oh, really?
Maybe they looked at the algae and decided they didn't want to drink the water and probably thought we ought not eat the fish as well, but
Well,
it's
I
not
don't know
always
why
a
it was
hand-in-hand thing, so. No, we
Catch and
haven't had
release,
any-
understood, but
Yeah.
not eat the fish.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I would need a fish I bought at the store, so.
Maybe he's a fish hugger, so if you want to push back that,
El George has good fish.
Yeah. Ended up with like 50 or so folks that showed up at the safety fair. Had a good show at the flotation devices. We've had that's been pretty successful where Ryan Martini, our chairman, goes through the different kinds of life vests that are needed for the different age groups and sizes and stuff. So we're looking to see if maybe pairing up with another event, instead of having a separate event for the safety fair, pairing up with some other existing event, like the 5K run or something like that, where there's already activity. We'll probably be approaching the Parks and Rec folk to talk a little bit about how it might be more.
You still do that thing where you give the boating licenses to 12-year-olds or?
Well, speaking of which, there was also a boater safety
Boater
class
safety the
that
same day.
Yeah.
So, and the garage sale. So we had a little bit of competition. And because the boater safety thing was that day, we couldn't have the police boat out there to show off. Our next meeting lands on Juneteenth, which is June 6th, June 19th, and we maybe end up canceling that particular meeting as a it's a national holiday, so.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
As of last year, I think, right?
Yep. So, we don't know if we're gonna cancel or reschedule. I've got to call into Martini to find out if we've gotten any new news on that.
Okay,
So that's all the news that's fit to drown.
okay, thank you. Okay, any announcements? No? All right. We can get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
You're good tonight. You're good.
So,
All in favor?
motion by Nedrow, second by
Sure, Thorne.
Thorne.
Give the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Finally got one.
Thank you.